Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tony, and with me is my good friend Corey. How you
What's
doing,
up?
buddy?
What's up? How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Really, really looking forward to this episode. Um, but before we get started, well, the movie we're going to be covering today or tonight is going to be a movie from 2012 called Crossbearer. Little indie film that for the longest time, and I think me and you went through this, Corey. We couldn't find it. It had a limited run, and it showed up on the convention circuit, but it not a circuit around us, like not a local one that we went to. So for the longest time, we couldn't find it. We couldn't. It wasn't available to watch online or anything like that. So we really couldn't see it for the longest time, and we heard about it, and it had gained this kind of like reputation, and it just made us want to hunt it down and watch it, hearing everything that everyone said about it. So it was back in the days where some indie films were a little pricey, and you had to pay a little extra for them to get them and stuff like that. And this is probably the one I probably you know went crazy with picking up, because me and another guy went in. He had a copy of it and I wanted it, so we went in together on one of Adam's films that I don't even think it's finished yet, but the Sadist, we went in together on a Indiegogo, and I paid for him. I paid for myself, and he sent me a copy of the movie, and that's how I finally got it. And I was finally able to watch it.
hmm
Yeah, crazy, man. So, that's. I mean, it was cool helping out the scene like that and going in on an Indiegogo, and the fact that he did that, that was really really a kind thing. And I remember the guy to this day, and I can't even remember how much I paid for it though. Honestly, it's been so long now, but yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, that's how I acquired it. And basically, the premise of the movie is a religious fanatic is cleansing all that he deems, um, you know, immoral and corrupted, and basically he zones in on this guy who's essentially a pimp, and
hmm
his ladies that he has in his stable. And basically this guy lives in a, I guess I remember in the film they called it a nightclub, but it looked like a high-rise apartment. Crazy
Yeah.
looking. I mean, so the guy, I mean, so from what he said, that the guy pushed him out. He's a homeless guy, the religious fanatic, homeless
hmm
guy, pushed out, him and other squatters that were staying there pushed out. And I guess that was before the establishment opened back up, but it had not burnt down. It had been shut down because of a shooting, and then this guy and this pimp actually ended up getting it, and establishing his setup there, where he's a drug dealer and he deals in prostitution. And he you know so the Crossbearer actually wants to cleanse him, essentially, but everyone that is in contact with him, or anybody that comes into that area. So we have our leading lady, her name is Heather, and she and her girlfriend, they're both strippers. They want to run away together to Greece because they're living a really shitty life, and they just want to
hmm
get away from it all. So they plan on taking the drug deal money that they're going to be involved in with the pimp and taking off to Greece. But things don't go according to plan, and the Crossbearer kind of has a you know, different plan
Motive.
for, yeah, a different motive for everyone, or plan for what's going to happen. But um, what do you think, man? When you first saw Crossbearer, what do you think?
Oh man, so I didn't really know much about Adams films at all, nor did I know anything about really much of indie films at the time. And you were just pretty much getting into independent films, you know. And I think you ultimately turned me on to Adams' work, in which I pretty much instantly fell in love with his work. Um, I was just honestly just was trying to nab up as much of his filmography as I possibly could. Crossbearer being actually pretty much one of my favorites. I think you showed it to me, and I was like, "Fuck, I got to get my hands on this film." And I had to honestly, I had to wait for Toe Tag to come out with their copies, and I think they came out with 1666.
Hmm.
So, and I believe I got number 132 or 136, one of the two. So, but ultimately, this film, oh man, I love this film. This is a fun film. The story is so cool. Because you have two different stories in itself, technically, right? You have the Crossbearer going in and pretty much just fucking going into this warehouse type apartment building, which we'll get on. I want to get on location. I want to talk about location later. Um, but he goes in and he basically wipes out this pimp and these prostitutes, right? And then you got this drug deal that's supposed to happen where you got Harry wanting these girls to make a drug deal for him.
Hmm.
And so they go in to do the drug deal. So essentially, they're basically at the wrong place at the wrong time, you
Right.
know. And he lets them in because obviously, if they're affiliated with this guy, they must be up to no good as well, you know. So he's letting them in and basically locks the door behind them and goes after them.
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, just all in all, the story on it's fun. I love some of the characters. I think Heather, which is I would say she's our main character. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Right. Final. She's a final girl.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
Heather, played by Natalie Jean, um, the gorgeous Natalie Jean, and she actually stars in a couple of his other films. Correct? She stars in, I think,
She
Cemetery.
she is in the cemetery. Yep.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he uses a lot of his regulars. Because Adam has a regular, cast of actors and actors who also, I believe, help in the production side of it too. So they
Mm,
help him.
yeah.
I think Natalie Jean was a producer, and JD Brown helps with the technical side of things, and I think Tim Cronin is another guy that he uses, and Doug Sackman. So he uses a lot of regulars in his films, which is really cool. They've built kind of a camaraderie in the
Yeah.
independent circuit, so it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's cool about it is, and that's one thing that I really love about Adam's work, and I've said it time and time again about the independent films, and ultimately, this day and age that we live in, as a true horror fan, we want to hope that that next film that comes out on the big screen is going to be awesome, but at the end of the day, I mean, I haven't been amazed in a while, and it wasn't until I started watching Crossbearer and I started watching The Cemetery and just all of Adam's work, and then that opened me up to watch Joseph Stauffer and stuff like that. So I really started paying attention to more indie films, and I realized that independent directors are essentially just fans making movies for fans,
Yeah,
and that's what I love.
yeah, me
You know?
too, man. That's why I love independent cinema. I mean, and there's so much of a family atmosphere when it comes to independent cinema. Fans, help get these movies made. They donate to the cause, and they like to go above and beyond to help out the directors, and the directors go above and beyond for the fans. So it's really a family, tight knit, um, group in the indie scene, and it always has been too. So I really enjoy that aspect of it, and I've talked to a lot of indie directors personally, just trying to help them out with their movies and stuff like that, and getting a little glimpse into them, and you know what they're fans of and what their taste is and stuff like that. And it's really fascinating that they're able to have that conversation with fans. I mean, I'm just one person. I imagine he had, most of these guys are having this conversation with a lot of other fans as well. So that they take the time out of their schedule to do that is really awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
cool.
I do want to talk about it later on. But I will go ahead and say, but I was talking to Adam actually recently this past week and everything. And we'll get more into that in a minute. I want to kind of showcase that towards the end of the show, but it
No,
still to this day, I mean, he's still reaching out to his fans and talking to people, which is awesome. So
that definitely is awesome.
yeah, yeah. Let's get into first thing that I ultimately want to talk about is let's talk about uh Isaac Williams' character, Crossbearer, the killer. Let's talk about
Yeah.
the killer. So, what's your thoughts on him? Do you like him? Or what's your thoughts on him as far as do you like the story behind him or I guess what he's doing or what are your thoughts on him?
So that's great. I'm glad that you brought that up, Corey, because from the very beginning, when the movie starts, they have opening, shot of which I really love this. So they show shots of a church, and they you hear an audio of I'm guessing it's a pastor, his sermon, and then they have a passage from the Bible, and it really opens it up to who this crossbearer is and how much of a fanatic he is. To I mean, I think Isaac Williams did a fantastic job. I love the dialogue that he's. Usually, I'm more of a fan of a more silent slasher villain, but with
Mhm.
him, with his cleansing that he's doing, it really is cool to hear him, say these things like, shout out harlot and you know all the other things that he's saying, come, into the embrace of your Lord Jesus, and just like things that he's saying, it's really, really fascinating. I love the look. I love his look too. It's almost like if you took Jason from Part Two, which they name drop part
Mhm.
Friday the 13th Part Two in the movie. So I know Adam had a little bit of a homage there probably. And
Yep.
then Down the Dreaded Sundown, but his mask is different because it's tied. Like they
Mm.
tied it. It's not a sack. Essentially, it's like a sheet, but he tied it around his head.
Mal.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and then he put that he has the the eye the eyes are cut out, and
Mhm.
it's a really cool look. Matter of fact, I always wanted to do that for Halloween, dress like that. But I would think people would get the wrong impression. So I'm kind of hesitant about doing that. But he, yeah, with the look, yeah, you can, you know, people can interpret that a way different direction than what I'm, trying to. But I love, like I said, the opening. I love that. He goes into a rant about, the filth that needs to be cleansed of the earth, and what he's going to do. It's really, really cool. I love the way the opening sets up the movie.
Yeah.
And I love the killer. Isaac Williams is great as the crossbearer. And I've actually heard complaints that, or not complaints, but I've heard, in a review that, some people didn't like that he was, you know, more vocal and open in the very beginning. And that took away a little bit of the mystique. But for me, it didn't at all. It worked out perfect for me. So I like that aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. First thing I want to talk about is yeah, the way he talks to his victims.
You
Uh
know,
like he's almost okay, so yeah, so he's in his mindset, he is doing the right thing, right? He's killing for the God or for God, right?
he's doing the
Essentially
Lord. Yeah.
doing the Lord's dirty work. Okay.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's almost like he's enjoying it, you know?
Almost get the sense that yeah, he enjoys it more than he lets off or
Well, because let's face it, he does taunt them.
Hmm.
I mean, there's scenes where you can hear him slapping stuff with the hammer, and stuff like that. If he knows where his victim is, just go in there and just kill him. But instead, you're beating the board right next to him with a hammer, and then you're hollering out harlot. Um, but but the dialogue behind him, I really do like. There's one scene where I forget which scene it is, but he goes to kill a girl, and right before he does, he hollers "cleanse," and that's it. And that was like,
Yeah,
wow, that's really cool.
it's a lot of
Mhm.
that. He's got a lot of good one-liners. Well, I mean, not one-liners. It sounds more comedic, but he's not comedic at all. I mean, he has
Yeah.
an agenda and he's pushing for that agenda. He's wanting to cleanse the world of the corrupt, and
Hmm.
that's what he ends up doing. Um, so yeah, his I've always wished that he would become like another icon because I love it. He's got a signature weapon, even though he does use the gun. Um, he uses that hammer, and man, the effects too. I gotta say, the effects are really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and especially with the not, you know, the sound effect, like the sound design in the movie when he's actually hitting somebody with a hammer. It sounds really. The sound design is very prevalent. You can hear like a score. I don't know what they're actually hitting to get that
Hmm.
sound, but it's really sick, man. It's really nasty. Like you hear that squish sound. It's like oh,
Yeah, it really sounds like meat, like wet meat or something, kind of sloshing around.
it really does.
Um, but yeah, to your point too, I think he has a really iconic mask, and that's when I look into a killer of horror genre, I instantly think, okay, this killer needs to have a mask somehow, some way. In which his mask, I felt like I was watching Friday the 13th Part 2. I'm not gonna lie, when I sat there and when I first saw his mask, I was like, wow, you can see where that was totally taken from, Friday the 13th. But at the same time, like you said, they did something a little different. So, like both of his eyes were cut out, I believe, in Friday the 13th. Only one eye hole was there, correct?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
correct.
So and he's got an iconic weapon. I mean, your killer has to have an iconic weapon, you know, and
Mhm.
which I don't think I've seen any other killer with a hammer before. So yeah, but yeah. Ultimately, I loved his performance and just everything about him. He wasn't fast paced. He was very nonchalant. Like he knew the outline of this building. He knew where he was going. He knew what he was doing. Um, But yeah, I honestly and on realistically, I don't have really any complaints about this film. I've got none whatsoever.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, and another thing too, he stalks in this movie, which is great. We have a stalk and slasher film, which is
mhm,
fantastic. You gotta, and that goes back to Friday the 13th Part Two because in Friday the 13th Part Two, Jason did most of his stalking in that movie. He was great. I mean, he was in every scenario. You would see Jason stalking his victims, which is really cool, and of course Crossbear as well, stalking the victims in this really cool setting and location.
mm,
So I love that. I really do, man. I wish there was more indie slashers that actually took advantage of that.
yeah, I
Yeah,
I agree.
that out there too. I love the fact that he's actually stalking.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. So you brought up location a couple of times, and so have I. So what do you think about the location of this film?
I love the location, and also you can tell it's so cold because there's a lot of times where the actors are like you can tell they're freezing, like they're
Hmm.
really really cold in this area. I mean, I think they shot it in PA if I'm not mistaken. Um, so they I know I did a little bit of behind the scenes research on it, and I think yeah they shot in like might not have been the dead of winter, but it was freezing. So you can
Yeah.
tell that the actors are just freezing cold. But the
Hmm.
location itself is really cool because it's almost like they cut scenes to like this high rise looking apartment, but it's not really that. It's more of like a abandoned club. But there's so many levels to it. I've never
Well, see,
seen a club like that before. So it's
I
really
got
fascinating.
I got the feel of like a warehouse. Like it to me, it felt like a warehouse.
It definitely did. And I
Hmm.
don't know if it was just made into a warehouse at one point after it was a nightclub, because I remember the pimp Anton saying that, hey, this used to be a club, and then there was like a mass shooting that happened in there, and they had to shut it down. So I mean, based on that dialogue, I'm looking at it like that is a crazy like structure for a club to be. I mean, there's so many different levels to it. It's bizarre, but like I said, I love the location. It's really, and the way the cinematography is too. It's a bleak movie, but it's shot so well too within the location. There's proper lighting. You see everything. I mean, it's not too dark, which you always worry about that with the indie film. But no, I mean the lighting was fantastic as well.
Yeah,
So yeah,
everything was fantastic with this. I mean Adam. He it almost seems like he really knows what he's doing with the camera.
well, you
You
can
know.
tell you could tell it was a labor of love. Everybody that was involved, they were all in it, together as friends, and you can tell it was just they wanted to make this movie and they wanted to make it really, really good. So,
Hmm.
like I said, labor of love is the best way to describe it.
Definitely.
I mean,
Oh,
everybody,
go ahead.
everybody was on point. Everybody was doing their job to a T. So,
Yeah, and there's validations to what you were saying right here on IMDb. It does say that it was filmed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
yes, okay.
So there
I
you go.
thought, yeah, but it had to have been in the winter because you can definitely tell they shot on location and it was freezing because
Isn't there isn't there a scene where there's snow on the ground too?
um
I'm pretty sure I saw that. Maybe I'm just thinking.
I'm thinking about when they were out in the car before they went into.
Or maybe that whole scene just feels cold to me. Maybe that
Yeah,
might
it
be it.
it does, man. You can feel the cold through the. I mean, I could feel it through my TV. It was so you could just tell. It's almost like watching the thing. When you're watching that, I just get cold chills because I could feel how cold everybody is.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that I mean, I could definitely tell. But the acting was good. The acting was really, really solid. I
Yeah.
mean, it really was. I have no complaints about the acting. The acting, everybody felt natural. Like they didn't
Well,
feel like,
yeah, it wasn't like people inexperienced acting. You know how you get some films where it feels very inexperienced,
mhm,
and it wasn't there for me. Like they all it seemed like they all knew what they were doing. They were ready to go. They probably read the script really well,
yeah,
and they went into it like you said, full hearted.
yeah. Well, it's a close knit group, so you can tell that they just have natural banter because they're close. They're really, really tight. So it's almost like I said, it's very natural. The dialogue, especially, I love the scene when they're in the car. The scene I was talking about earlier when they're in the car and they're talking about movies, and the guy, the comedic relief, uh, is talking about all the movies he shoots, but he shoots porno, but he shoots him in the porno. He doesn't shoot other people in the porno. So
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, it's because it's for my private collection. I'm not going to shoot some dude with these chicks. I'm going to shoot me with these girls. And they get into a banter about movies, and he's like, well, I like sophisticated, I'm trying to shoot sophisticated movies. I'm not trying to shoot a bunch of, schlock, but I love schlock. So, but I want my art to be taken more seriously. So it's funny. And then Natalie Jean's character is like, well, if I'm watching a movie, I don't want to see artsy, I don't want to see it artsy or whatever. I want to see a fun movie. I want to see a good time. And that's why I watched Friday the 13th Part 2. So they dropped that in there. And she's like, yeah, that's the one I like. I go to because it's fun and this and that. So I love that whole exchange that they have. It's really really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. You can just tell how natural it is. It seems like they've had that conversation when the cameras were off. You know, like they had that
Yeah.
conversation movies that they like. Because I'm sure, you know, you know these guys love that. They love these movies. So I'm
Oh yeah.
sure they've had plenty of conversations about Friday the 13th and all these other movies that they really enjoy. So
Mhm.
it felt a lot more natural in that with that dialogue in that scene in particular. So
Some of the other dialogue that I want to mention because I did write a couple one-liners down that I fucking love. Um, the one where the guy refers to the vagina as a meat sheath. Like, where do you come up with that?
yeah, that that just like wow. When I first heard it, that just blew me away. I could not believe that was said.
Fucking meat sheath.
Yeah, crazy.
Wait a minute. Here's another one. This one, I love this one. So, uh, the guy apparently, what's his name in this film? He just won't die. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Mark, the comic relief Mark. Yeah.
Mark, yeah. So
Mhm.
he comes in and he has like this scene where he apparently wants to avenge his girlfriend's death. And he
Oh
looks at Crossbearer and he's like, "Yo, fuckface, you just killed my steady pussy."
God. Yeah, man. That's probably one of the more famous lines from the movie. Honestly, I've seen a couple of people, that that do a review that mention that one in particular. So
Yeah, that that
there's a couple of lines in this movie that are just like, wow, holy shit, they they said that.
well, here's the funny thing, okay? Talking to Adam before, and stuff like that, and then talking to him recently, and just like watching videos of Adam talking and stuff, you could really see where this dialogue's coming from.
Yeah,
But I did
that,
want to point something else out. You were talking about um the actors and actresses and everything. There's one that stood out to me that looked familiar and I just couldn't put a name to it.
mhm.
Um, but Bill from the strip club where he gets his
Yeah.
teeth kicked in. Do
Hmm.
you know who that is?
I was gonna bring that up. That's the guy that does the so I believe that he does he is what is it? He does something with Bam Margera on his show. I
Yeah,
think he's
so it says here that he's part of the CKY crew.
yeah.
His name is Joseph France. And I remember him from the show because I used to watch the show all the time, I was like, "Damn, that guy looks fucking familiar. Who is that guy?" And then as I was just scrolling through IMDb, I just found him, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's him!" So that's pretty funny. He
Yeah, there's
actually
a
gets killed in the end of the film.
yeah, he takes care of loose ends, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a big CKY connection with this movie, man. There's CKY songs prevalent in the movie.
Notice that, and I can see
Yeah,
where they probably just got the rights there to do that. And that's
yeah,
something else I wanted to bring up was the fact that they played so many CKY songs during the film.
they
So
really did.
so the
And
score,
usually I'm gonna make I'm gonna throw this out there. Usually, I see me and you are big metalheads. Like we love
hmm
heavy metal, but
we do.
I think we're both like when it comes to indie films that they'll throw metal in the soundtrack, and it'll kind of jar you a little bit and throw you off just because it's so you know what I mean. It just comes out of nowhere, and it's just like man, but the way
James
that
Balsamo.
the way he included CKY into the score and the soundtrack, I really enjoyed that because CKY is not. abrasive metal. They're definitely not. So I actually really enjoyed it. I thought the music set pieces were great. How he incorporated them into different scenes. I thought it worked out really. I thought it was perfect. It
Yeah,
usually jars me, but the fact that CKY is not really a metal band, but when you have harder rock or something like that, it'll kind of throw you off and kind of take you out of the scene a little bit. But with them, it worked out. It worked out well, and I
yeah,
mean, it worked well in this movie. It really did.
yeah. I liked it. Um, but all the score really. But yeah, it was really cool hearing CKY. Because that's just again that's something that was again from my past, and I
Yeah.
think I listened to CKY really big. Him too. I listened to CKY and him, pretty big when I was in high school and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, Still to this day, I still listen to CKY. But yeah, it's always kind of a great pleasure when you hear something that you're quite fond of in a film, and it was really cool to hear it in this film, and it worked for the scenes that it was in too. So.
Telling you, man, it worked seamlessly. It really did. I
Mhm.
was really, really impressed. I love that. And I've loved that since the first time I saw the movie. I'm like, that's cool because I love CKY too. So the fact that he included them in the soundtrack was really neat. And then when he would play, a couple of their songs during a couple of scenes, I was like, man, that music cue is, man, spot on. It sounds great, you know. So kudos to Adam for doing that. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't exactly know who was over the score, but I know it was a certain person that he had over the score. It wasn't Adam. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Make-
I don't
but
think it has it
making
on here.
yeah making the decision to do that was good on his part, though. I really
Yeah, it
do agree.
definitely was. Yeah.
Really fantastic.
Um, and then even the special effects was pretty cool.
I mean, they were really really gnarly, the kills. I think the cocaine kill was like, man, that's like the highlight.
I was gonna bring up the kills. Yeah, that was actually my favorite kill, the cocaine
Yep,
overdose. That was pretty
I'm
crazy.
telling you, I'm telling you, you never see anything like that. I've never seen anything like that before. Someone do that. So that was just like, wow, holy shit. They actually went there. They actually did that.
Mhm.
Man. He almost did it like a second take. Like, did that really just happen? Wow. Yeah, man, that was this that stand out for me. I mean, there was a lot of like just going to town on, with the hammer and just bashing heads into a bloody pulp, and it was it was really, really gnarly. That's the best word to describe it. Um,
Yeah,
the fact that he used the what do you call the part of the hammer that drives the nails out? He used that part to,
the claw.
cut out a tongue. Yeah, the claw. He used that part to cut out a tongue. And there's a scene, a instance where it goes through a dude's hand, which is really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
used
that was
that part.
pretty gruesome.
It wasn't just the blunt end; it was both ends. So
Hmm.
pretty gnarly.
Yeah, yeah. I think everything about it, even like there's even one scene where there's like blood spatter on the wall. It was like a cut scene. But I mean,
Hmm.
you see him obviously hit a girl, and then like blood spatter happen. I love that. One of my other favorite kills, though, I did want to bring it up, is the scene where there was basically a three-way happening, and he just runs in there and just beats the shit out of the girls real fast. When he first kills the pimp,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and then he pretty much just takes his anger out. There's no face left whatsoever.
No, there's not. You can tell, like, to your point, I never didn't think about it, but you made a really good point when, it's almost like, yeah, he feels like he's doing the Lord's work and he's cleansing the world of the sinners, but he seems like he really takes a really like extra. enjoyment. He takes extra enjoyment out of what he does. And
Hmm.
I just thought he was just so focused and just so driven to cleanse the world. But no, he really does, because he toys with them. Like, to your point, he hits the hammer on objects to kind of feel them out, to see where his victims are, and he'll taunt them with certain phrases and stuff like that. So think about it. But you're right. He definitely takes some sadistic enjoyment out of what he's doing.
Yeah, there seems to be some sort of enjoyment there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah,
I
so
I caught onto it a lot more with this viewing than I did previous viewings. I just thought he was so laser focused, but you can tell he's having a good time, toying with them.
yeah, yep. Um, Towards the end of the film, obviously you've got your survivor girl, Natalie Jean,
Mhm.
and at one point she's running from him, and she gets into like this almost like caged area, right? And this is the basically the final battle between her and him, and she beats the shit out of him with the baseball bat.
Mhm.
the what I love about this scene is the fact that like he's laying down on the ground, she's over him, and she yanks his mask off, and then she's like, "Do you have anything to say, for yourself or whatever?" He goes to speak, and she just starts whopping him with the fucking bat.
Yeah, she goes Jose Canseco on his ass with that bat.
It just blew my mind because it's like, okay, you're giving him a point of redemption, and then all of a sudden, nope, nope, fuck you.
Throwing it back
Uh,
at him, toying with him a little bit.
yeah, that's what it almost seemed like. But I mean, she obviously just, lost her lover or whatever. So,
Yeah,
which I want to
yeah,
bring up a point. I want to bring up a point. So, Adam almost left it to where there could be two ways the sequel could really happen here, right? So, in the first sense, so she gets away, right? And almost like it has triggered something in her, fucked her up really bad to where she's just like, okay, I'm gonna go kill the guy that made all this happen, and then I'm gonna go, and then she goes to leave, because she goes and kills Harry afterwards, right? She's almost like not there, she's just got a blank face at this point, and she's like,
trauma.
almost like she turned into the killer in a sense. And then she goes and kills Joseph France's character Bill outside of the club.
The heckler.
That's
Yeah,
yeah. So it almost seems like they could have made a sequel to where she would have just picked up right from where Isaac Williams' character left off.
yeah.
So
I bad thing. I did some. I made a mistake saying that she seemed traumatized, because she didn't really seem traumatized. I mean, she was
no.
understandably upset because she lost her girlfriend, and
Mm-hmm.
she was really, really, heartbroken. And but she didn't seem. It didn't seem traumatized. It seemed like she had just said, you know what, fuck it. She's like, I'm gonna tie up these loose ends, and I'm gonna get my ass out of here and do what we said we were gonna do. Go to Greece and you know live out live out my time there and stuff like that, because that's what I wanted to do during the whole exchange with everything. I was gonna rip them off, take the money. We were both gonna go and get away from all this stuff. So she's like, oh, at the end of the movie, she's like, I'm doing what I intended. We talked about doing. That's what I'm gonna stick with it, and that's what
Yeah.
she ended up doing. Well, showing that she was doing. So, but she was also, and I didn't make the point. Um, Another girl that she was living with was, I guess her live-in girlfriend, and she
Mm-hmm.
was seeing another girl. She was seeing another girl on the side, and they all worked at the strip club together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this girl that she lived with was she was like setting up. She was the one that knew about the drug, how the drug deal was supposed to go down. She knew everybody. She was working with Harry, the owner of the strip club, but she
Yeah.
was you, doing favors for him, sexual favors for him to get more coke. So she was doing some shady shit behind the scenes as well. But
Mm-hmm.
she also was a single mother. And after the movie, after she met her gruesome end, um, Natalie Jean's character took her her orphan baby with her, or
Mm-hmm.
shown take the orphan baby with her because she had a very close connection with the little boy. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool how they tied that all up at the end too, because there was there was a three-way love triangle going on that was really crazy that you don't really didn't really reminded me of in a way it kind of reminded me of My Bloody Valentine because there was a three-way love triangle going on there. So like, oh, that's cool. It's just like taking in a different approach. So there was a lot
Yeah.
going on, and there was a lot there. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I just wanted to tie that up to say that, hey, at the end of the movie, she took the little boy with her,
Mm-hmm.
which was noble of her.
Yeah.
So she has
Yeah.
that she's still sane.
Yeah. So obviously she wouldn't be the killer in a sequel, but then it shows Crossbearer getting out of his cage at the end of the film. So Natalie Jean's character didn't kill Crossbearer. So I'm gonna ask Adam next time I talk with him. What the fuck? When can we see a sequel to this?
Man, I'm telling you, the first time I saw the movie, I'm like, yes, please, let's do a part two. Let's have another one. Let's go. And just sadly, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
I was stoked when I saw that end scene when he got up and he's walking out and he opens the cage and he's just speaking more religious banter and or rhetoric and just going off and saying I'll be back, I'm gonna finish the Lord's work and this. Oh, I was like, I'm set, man. Let's do this thing. I was so pumped.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm that way too. I really was like hoping for more from Crossbear, and I really hope it happens. Eventually in the future.
I do too.
Um,
Yeah, I do.
yeah, because he's a pretty cool killer. I'd like to see at least a sequel because I kind of want to see what happens. Does
Oh
he
yeah,
go after Natalie? Does he go to Greece?
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah,
So
what
what
does he do?
happens?
Yeah, does
I
he
want to know
continue
more.
does he continue to go around and cleanse? And which I was going to make a point. There was when they first got into the where the final scene takes place between her and Crossbear. She gets into the basement essentially of this location, and
Mhm.
there's so many bodies stacked up. I was like, how many people did he kill? There's just
It's been
bodies stacked up. It's crazy.
yeah. He
And
was
I
killing
was
people for a
curious.
while.
Yeah, he has been. He's been killing people for a long time because literally there was a stack of bodies in the basement. Like, holy shit. He didn't just start doing this. He's been at it for a while. He's been cleansing most of the area.
Yeah.
I thought that was crazy. I've always been curious what his body count was because damn, dude, there was a stack of bodies in that basement.
Yeah.
And the body count in the movie was pretty high too.
There was a lot of nudity too.
There was. It was. But you get that with a slasher film. That's it's coming. Get your gore, your nudity.
I
You
mean,
get all.
they're TNA films. You got to sell them.
I mean,
Yeah.
there definitely was though. I mean, there. Most of these girls were strippers too. So, which was really noble because Natalie Jean's character. I mean, she would not disrobe. She was a dancer, and even Harry made it a point to call her the dancer. So she was not in it to strip. She was in it to dance for everybody. And that's why the heckler got on to her. He's like, hey, these guys that come here don't pay to see you dance. They pay to see, you strip. So I was like, that's cool that she's like noble in a sense. And she wants to, I mean, it's just a bad place to do it. But I wonder if, something happened in her backstory that caused her to, I don't know, fall into that line of work, but I just thought that was really fascinating. She was the only one that didn't end up disrobing, and I was like, oh, True final girl right there, man. You know.
I truly agree to that statement 100%. Natalie Jean, in my opinion, I've only seen her in two films, but ultimately, um, this one, I really loved her role in this film, and really loved the way she portrayed it in this film.
Yep.
Yeah.
She she was, man. She was a trooper, and she had some good points. Like to at one point, she said to the the group that was with them. I think it was at that point it was just the three of them. It was her. It was the it was the triangle, the love triangle. It was her
Mm-hmm.
current girlfriend, and then the girl she was kind of on the side with. Well, she made a point at a certain at a certain time to say, hey, if we all just attack him at one time, we'll get the better of him because it's three against one. But for
Yeah.
some reason, they all brushed her off and said, "Oh no, no, that's not going to work. We're just sitting ducks. We're all going to be killed." So I'm like, "Well, damn, she makes a good point.
Yeah.
If were to all go after him, all three of them at one time, they would have stood a lot better of a chance than splitting up and just getting picked off one by one." But that's another point that I was thinking of when I was watching. I was like, she made a damn good point, and they just really well, mainly the girl that was supposed to be in charge and calling the shots. She kind of just brushed her off and said, "Hey, it's not going to work. We're just going
Yeah.
to end up picked off easier." But I was like, "Damn, she made a really valid point."
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
she
obviously,
was smart. She was smart. She was witty. She told her, Bunny, the girl she was seeing on the side, she told her to hide while I distract him, and then you can get away while I'm distracting him. But she didn't follow through with that either, and she popped up right when he was going around, and she was able to get picked off because she didn't follow through with that plan that they had. So she was really resilient and stuff like that, man. She made for a good final girl. She was smart.
hmm yeah, I agree. And to your point, with that being said, I think she saw some qualities in what was her name? Victoria, I believe her name
Victoria.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she saw some sort of qualities in her as far as like I'm wanting to I wouldn't say survivalist, but uh I guess she felt comfortable enough that she could go against him with her, because ultimately if you think about it, in reality I don't think she thinks that Bunny is as resilient, you know. I think
Mm-hmm.
she probably thinks that Bunny is more of a I guess like almost like a weaker person. So she kind of tells her to hide, obviously, instead of fighting with her. Even still, even if it was two against one, and obviously Natalie Jean could handle her own. So I don't know. I think that if they both had ganged up, they would be, obviously Bunny would be alive, and there would be a different ending to the story.
Yeah, it could have been absolutely.
But but then
Just like
again,
I just like how they threw that in there. It's like, well, she's kind of on top of the situation and kind of has some good ideas, and she's actually not succumbing to that whole victim mentality where she's like, no matter what we do, we're no. She was a fighter. She was willing to
yeah.
get hands dirty and fight back against him. So give
hmm
her credit for that, and that's why at the end of the day she was the final girl. She was resilient. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But, well, to my point, I will say this now thinking about it though, if Bunny had gotten away, then that would have changed the whole storyline. Natalie Jean wouldn't have went back to, kill off Harry, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's always a cause and effect, and that was the effect. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much covers the film. What do you think, Tony? Do you have anything else to say about it, or you think that's good?
no, I think we covered it pretty well, man. Made we brought up a lot of things we noticed, and as far as things we liked, didn't really talk about things we didn't like. But I mean, at the end of the day, I just enjoyed the film. There wasn't anything I really didn't like, so
I
I
can't
thought it was
say anything bad about it, actually.
it's very well done, very well
It
done.
was. I mean,
Shot,
everything. Huh?
it was shot well. It was very well crafted. It was a labor of love, and you can tell, and that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yes.
It's a fun, really really capable indie slasher film that I wish could get a sequel.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, if you're listening, your fans would love a sequel.
Hmm.
Crossbearer is not dead.
Love more to that story.
I would too. That would be great. Speaking of Adam, so I've just gotten into contact with him recently, actually.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
uh, basically, Adam pretty much like disappeared off of Facebook, and that was pretty much the only way that I was following him. I'm not on Twitter, so I don't follow people on Twitter, obviously. And I think last time I talked to JD Brown, he told me that I could find Adam on Twitter, but I don't do Twitter. So I lost contact for years with Adam. And then just recently, I was like, you know what? I think it was our last episode. We talked about hunters afterwards. And I was like, I want to find me a copy of that. And then I seem to can't find one. And I was like, I'm going to maybe find Adam. And who knows, maybe I can possibly buy a copy off him if he has one or something.
Hmm.
Um, but I found Adam on Instagram and we were talking and he told me that he's working on a couple things now. Um, he told me that he is finishing up a short film that he stars in, and he's also producing. I guess it's one of his friends' short films. And then the other one is is he said that he was working on a feature film that is actually he's finishing it up as well, and it's in post production right now. He doesn't have a release date because of the whole COVID-19 shit that's been going on. Pretty much, he doesn't really have a release date for anything. One of the things that he can definitively say is that he had just released a book and it's free on horrorsociety.com. And then he sent me a link to that. So I will have a link to that book in the description down below. And I'll also post that link on Facebook as well on the group. Um, the other thing that I talked about with Adam is we talked about him potentially being on the show, and he said that he doesn't mind being on the show, but he really doesn't. Other than the things that I just spoke about, he really doesn't have much going on other than that. However, he did say, um, or I did say, say that we could potentially talk about, just having kind of a reminiscing time of all his past work and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I think that would be really fun for myself and you as well because we were such huge fans of him.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But I'm excited to actually hear from him, and then I'm also excited to hear that he's actually still working on films. I honestly thought that he just wasn't doing it anymore.
I'm thrilled to hear that he still is. I think the guy is super talented, and I just it would be a shame. I hate to see that somebody as talented as he was just wasn't doing it anymore. Because there's so much craft he brings to it, and there's so much he can bring to the genre, and I just think it would be a shame if he did. So I'm really psyched and I'm really thrilled to hear that he's still working in film in some capacity. That he's still putting out product, and I would just it would be really cool to talk to him and just to see what before you know obviously the pandemic rolled around, what he was working on and you know what he was kind of doing with his time, because after you know after he we started watching his movies and starting really getting into contact with him and stuff like that, that's when he just seemed to like you know it just seemed to kind of drop off, because like I'm with you, I only had Facebook, and that's how I kept in contact with him, and we
Hmm.
used to message each other all the time, and we used to basically just shoot the shit, talk about music, and because I mean we have similar tastes in music and movies and stuff like that. So we would just, we just shoot the shit every once in a while, and then all of a sudden, if you just couldn't find him anymore, so And like I said, I don't have Twitter or Instagram or any of that, so there was no way for me to get in contact with him. But the fact that you did was super cool, man. I'm glad you could talk to him and kind of see what he's been up to.
Yeah, yeah, I was quite thrilled to even be talking with him. I honestly just I sent him a message, kind of in the shot of the dark, and then what was really surreal was not only did he not just send me a message, but he actually did a voice recording. And so we actually did a couple voice recordings back and forth. And I thought that was just really cool to hear his voice again, and stuff like that. I haven't heard his voice in a long time, so because like I said, it had been years since we spoke. You know,
Yeah,
it was really cool, and to know that he don't mind do the show. I think that's really cool too. So
so man,
looking forward.
that's what I love about these guys. I mean, they're super generous with the fans, and they want to, they want to get them out there. But it's also the fact that they're just super cool to just sit down and talk with the fans. Like even when we would just message each other, it was almost like, hey, we've been buddies for a long time. We're just shooting the shit pretty much. And I
Mhm,
always got that impression with him and most of the indie guys. I mean, they're just so, you know, they're so forthcoming and they give back to the fans, and it's that's what I love about the scene, man. I love the scene. It was really fun to be a part of it, to contribute to these films, and to help get them made, and just having that camaraderie was really really special, and I miss that, man. It seems like it's kind of tailed off, and a lot of indie guys don't go that route anymore and have that. It's not like it used to be. Let's just say that it's nowhere near where it used to be. So it just harkens back to a good old time when the scene was thriving, and it was just fans and filmmakers, and it was, yeah, I don't know, it was just so much fun being a part of that. But I would just like to pick his brain about what kind of movies inspired him to make the movies he made, and what are his top movies, what are his inspirations and stuff like that, and just to get a little glimpse into, you know because I mean, even watching Crossbearer, there's a lot of like callbacks that I noticed and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, I wonder if that's one of Adam's top 5 films of all time, or just simple things like that, you think about. But just having him on the show would be amazing, man.
it really would. But and to your point, where you were talking about or you were talking about Crossbear and everything, we didn't mention this, but you and I kind of had an epiphany watching Adam's films, right? We watched Crossbear, and then we turned around and I think we watched The Cemetery right afterwards, or maybe it was like the next week or something. But that opened our eyes, and we both were like, we need to make a movie, and we wrote a movie based upon, or not based upon his movie, but it inspired us to write a film, right? So
Did.
we've actually got a screenplay written. You know, it's just
Mhm.
we just never put it out there.
Yep. Yep. That's true, man. Like I said, we watched him do his thing, and that just inspired us to say, hey, we need to do this, and we need to get out there and write our own film, and possibly one day shoot it and get it out there. So kudos
Hmm.
to Adam and Adam in general for giving us the inspiration to do that. I mean,
Hmm.
because you see it with Adam's movies, it's a labor of love. You just see how much care and quality is put into it, because you can tell it's a guy that genuinely loves the genre and wants to do it right, and it just shows on screen. So it would be really cool to get him on and talk with him. It's been a while since I've talked to him, so be like just catching up and seeing what's been going on. Hopefully, I'll keep my fingers crossed that we can have a chance to do that.
Yeah, and this is kind of opening up. What would you say? Almost like a new segment to the show. We could potentially even get others on. If anyone knows where Joe Stoffer is, I'd love to get my hands on him. Well, not get my hands on him, but I don't want to get my hands on Joe Stoffer. I just want to get in contact with the guy.
Right.
Now he won't contact us.
Yeah, man. Joe was an awesome dude too.
That's
And
another one. Yeah, we talked. I talked actually quite often to him.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like I said, it just proves my point, and proves the point we've made that the guys in the scene were just so forthcoming with the fans and so kind and so generous with the fans, and we're always able to give back and have conversation, and it was so cool. I mean, I bet in no other film genre that indie guys are talking to their fans like the horror guys do. Like it's just to me, it's just the scene, and it really is what I really enjoyed about it when it was thriving back in the early 2010s to like right around 2015. I think that's when it was really really big, and
Yeah.
yeah, man, I wish we can kind of rekindle that a little bit, get
Hmm.
that back going. But I guess, I see a lot of the drawbacks to the Indiegogos, and um, how sometimes they don't work out, and sometimes a few bad apples can ruin
Hmm.
the uh, the bunch, so to speak. And there's so many good, genuine guys that I wish would have got that, like Joe in particular. How I wish Pieces of Talent 2 would have worked out, and how it would have you know been a successful campaign. And the fact that it wasn't just breaks my heart. And I really wish that we could have got that second movie, because Pieces of Talent was such a fantastic movie as far as everything, cinematography. I mean, that's a whole different other story, but that movie was great, and it just breaks my heart that we never got a follow up,
Yeah. I really wish. I
especially
really
for a
wish
guy that
he
could
would put
be
it.
nicer, you know.
Yeah. Like I said, I wish he could put it out there again. And just see if it would get crowdfunded or something because I would really love to see that sequel.
I'm telling you, I would
You know.
definitely don't. I would definitely donate in a big way to that, because I know Joe's a genuine guy, and that he just wanted to make something special, just like he did with the first one. And I would definitely send my funds his way to get that
Yeah.
done. No, no question.
Just to know that everything was written and ready to go, just needed to be funded.
Yeah, kills you, man.
That's yeah,
Kills you, especially just such a fantastic movie. I mean,
it really was.
that just blows my mind. But
Yeah.
yeah,
So what we forgot about? We didn't talk about things we watched or things we picked up.
no, yeah, we did. We just kind of jumped straight into it. But I mean, I think it was just I was so gung ho, just ready to talk about it. I didn't even bring that up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was like, hell with it, it's Crossbearer. We're gonna let this happen.
yeah, no doubt, dude.
So so have you picked up anything? I'm gonna go ahead and go first and say I've had a busy week and I haven't watched anything, nor have I picked anything up. So
Yeah, yeah.
so
I
it's
picked up. I picked
you.
up one thing. I picked up one thing. I wasn't really able to watch too much, but I did pick up a movie that me and you. So it's by a director that me and you are we're big fans of his first feature film, which was Baskin.
Hmm.
Um, and I went ahead and I was watching my boy Horace Ball on YouTube, and he does the Golden Horn Awards, and he had mentioned a movie called Housewife, which I didn't realize was the follow up to. It wasn't a follow up in story, but it was just his next feature film that he made. And I was like, oh man, I got to pick that up. So I got on YouTube and grabbed it, and YouTube, excuse me, eBay, and picked it up for a couple bucks, and it came in a couple days ago. So I haven't been able to watch it yet, but I'm really really excited. It's called Housewife, and I'm really really excited to check it out. It's supposed to be really trippy and um, kind of surreal, and that's what I dig. So I'm really really looking forward to checking that out. But it's been kind of a slow week for me as well, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I just haven't been out to. do much of anything.
Yeah.
So I imagine I'm gonna end up. Well, I'm waiting on the horror pack to come in now. I guess that'll come
Oh,
in towards the end of the month.
yeah. I was able to watch a movie called The Lodge, which was really, really fantastic. Um, I just was on I was getting home from work and I stopped in to get some milk at my local Circle K, and then there's a red box out there, and I was like, let me skim through the horror section, see what they got. And they had The Lodge in there, and I saw it at Walmart, but it was like 20 something bucks for the Blu-ray. I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay that for a blind buy. So let me at least watch it, kind of, see if it's worth it or not. So I rented it from Redbox, popped it in, and it was really solid, man. Really, really fantastic movie. Um, really, really bleak. I love movies like that are bleak and super downer and that have
Hmm.
that no hope kind of ending and just feeling of dread. And I just dig movies like that. I really, really enjoy them. So that movie had that in spades. So I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's highly recommended. I don't want to say too much because it's a newer movie and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's
Yeah.
really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much what I've watched and picked up the week for this week. So, like I said, not too much.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, if that's it, then you ready to land this plane?
land the plane, man.
All right. Well, folks, you've been listening to the Midnight Monster Corner podcast, and thank you for staying in with us. We hope that you like the review on Crossbearer, and we hope that if you haven't heard of Adam's work, Adam Albrant, that is, check out his filmography. Somehow, some way, get your hands on any of those films and watch them because they are awesome. With that, Tony, do you have anything to say?
I sure don't, man. That was a fun episode, man. Really, really good dive delving into Adam's, the first movie we've seen from him. So that was really cool. Had a
Right.
blast doing it. Hopefully we get some buzz and people start picking up his films and watching them because they're well worth it. They're really, really good films, and hopefully we get the word out and people start picking them up.
Definitely, definitely. And like I said, folks, if you want to check out Adam's new book, unfortunately, I don't have the title in front of me, um, but I will leave a link down below, and it'll take you to Horror Society, where I believe you have to download it, but it is free, so check it out. With that, like always, like, share, subscribe. If you want to join the conversation on Facebook, that's where you can reach us and talk to us a little bit more. And it is a closed group. You ask, we will let you in and just join the conversation and have some fun talking about horror films. We
Hmm.
post funny stuff and we talk about funny things all the time in there. So, with that, later, guys.
Later.